Apparently the battery wasn't in all the way.
For real though, do you think you're going to be okay with this? If you start having problems, let me know. I'll drive home. Don't try to tough guy it with your vertigo. I literally don't want to have a car accident again. Tapped out for a lifetime.
It's like storing for the
Yeah, we do dry land storage and stuff.
What's that?
It's just a couple grand or something like that, 2 or 3 grand. And that might include, it depends whether you do indoor storage, outdoor storage, shrink wrap. We do shrink wrap too. Yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah. Well, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Oh, come on. Good morning.
Good morning.
If I can appear to be not dead, you can be too. Well, welcome aboard the USS Minnow. This will not be a 3-hour tour. And this is not Captain Ron. This is going to be Captain Aaron. He's going to be our boatmaster for the day. Is that right? Well, when I'm speaking to him, I'm speaking to this one. Well, my name's Garrett, and I'm going to be your tour guide here for 45 minutes on a submerged road boat tour here. And so, hope you're all familiar with the little Route 66. That's what we're doing. Although you could be here just for the free boat ride. So we are going to take a little jaunt over to a part of the lake where Route 66 originally went down into the valley before this lake was here. And you'll see the point where the road goes into the lake. You'll see the point on the other side where the road comes out of the lake. And now it's not terribly exciting. You have to turn on your imagination a little bit. But it's the entire concept that there's an entire section of road still intact underneath Lake Springfield today. And this was a section of road from 1926 to 1930. Now prior to Lake Springfield being here, the settlers will start coming into the area in about the 1820s. And at the time, this, where the lake is, was a ginormous valleyway that went all from this way, all the way that way, and then cuts that way, and that a little bit that way, kind of like a T-shape. And people had set up their homesteads, their farmsteads, and now there's not too many, because 1820s, there's still not a lot of people here yet. But anyway, also in the early days of travel, the settlers would simply use Indian trails. And after the Native Americans were pushed out, they continued to use those trails, but they needed better roads for safer, easier, more economic travel. And so by the 1900s, another gentleman came up with the idea of paving an entire section of road connecting 8 states from Chicago to Santa Monica, California. And now we have highways in the country, but they zigzag across states. Highways don't connect up very easy, and this would be a fairly direct path. And so the concept became popular right away, and the concept of Route 66 was born. Now, in many cases, they would still use those Indian trails. In fact, when you're on Highway 50, Interstate 55, from Chicago to St. Louis, you are on an old original Native American trail. So in order to build the first section of road, they decide to build it across and down the valley and out the other side of the valleyway. But by 1930, people were talking about building a new city reservoir because the Sunken River didn't supply enough water to the population. And so surveying was done, and this valley was selected as the spot for the upcoming Lake Springfield. So this would also create problems now because now you've got to acquire the land, you've got to clear the land, you're going to have pushback from families, school boards, perhaps politicians, things like that. And then you've got government to deal with. Anytime you talk about building a road, renaming a road, or rebuilding a road, that involves all kinds of government paperwork you can imagine. So the land was eventually approved, and they set the standard to start building Lake Springfield here. Now, at the time, where Route 66 is across the lake here, just down into the lake was a small, I refuse to call it a village, it wasn't even that. I'll call it a hamlet of buildings. And it was there to support the railroad workers that were working on the new rail line across the lake. And it was a town called It's a hamlet called Cotton Hill. And there's not much there. There's a two-story building. I don't know what it was used for. There's a garage. There's a service station, post office, and commissary. That's really about it. Maybe a couple of outbuildings too, you know. But the little hamlet of buildings supported those railroad workers in a nearby camp. There were about 300 of them. Now, in order to build the lake, that means they got to drown Cotton Hill. Well, they don't exactly drown it because you can't have building materials in a city reservoir, so they actually raise it. And, but of course, there's always rumors that buildings still remain. But unless somebody wants to dive down there and have a look, I don't know the absolute answer yet. But anyway, so the hamlet of buildings is torn down. The road is going to be paved across the lake. And, now, when they start building the lake, this lake is built by civilian conservation corps people. And they had moved into the area. The railroad bridge was done, so the railroad workers moved out. CC workers moved in. They would be largely responsible for the construction of the entire lake. They would do the riprapping around the lake. They would build the roads, the parks that go all the way around the lake. If you're not familiar, this lake has, I don't know how many parks, but it's got a whole lot of them all the way around the lake. They're small, but they're very nice. So we're about to go into 555 here, and this is the current Route 66 top of the St. Louis.
I'm like,
Make sure there's no cracks.
I just hope nobody throws something out their window. Now, somebody's going to absolutely ask me about the lighthouse over here. It is just a decoration only. That's it. It doesn't work. The staircase up to the top. And it's owned by a gentleman that has this little property right here. the lake is ready to be filled, they would start piping in the water, and it would take several months to fill the lake. You'll be able to see it coming up. Just on the other side. So for this bridge, we are going to have to slow down and drop the canopy.
I was literally looking at this thing going, the water is too high for this. Yeah.
Dug down.
If anybody's familiar with the area, look over there to the bridge. That's like Now the amusing thing is when people go under the bridge, they like to leave their beer cans up top. You never know what you're going to see up there.
Oh,
They
that's
should have turned in this into like one of those lever key gate things where you stick the key on it.
Right. Like in Paris.
They've got those on different parts of Route 66 now.
Do they really?
yeah. They got one in Livingston
Huh.
with the pink elephant.
The Parisians hate it. They get mad when tourists do it. Do you? How about that? I think the French have
You
finally
might need to
given
drop
up.
your
They
stick.
just cut all the
No, I'll be
logs
alright.
off like once a year.
But no, I didn't go like this.
I'm just saying. Please don't drop the 360 into the water. No. Maybe. That's a lot lower than you think. Oh, they do have like listen, Daddy Lane, yep. Train doesn't go by anytime soon.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I redefine cool for you.
Go play the lottery.
This chillin' looks just like a stick. I don't think the canopy is doing much for you today anyway with the overcast.
bridge and then traverse across the lake. And you're going to see the old railroad bridge, part of it. All right, look left. There it is. That's where Route 66 goes down into the valley across the lake. That's it. Now, if the water was down and the trees were not full of green leaves, you can actually see the road there.
So we go down under.
The road goes under the bridge at an angle. It
That was
turns
really
here
narrow.
just
Really narrow right there.
well, you know, cars were a lot smaller.
No, they were a lot bigger back then. I've seen those.
Well, you know, think of the Model Ts that were still around 1930s.
Not everybody had a car in 1930.
That's true.
They'll be rich. And they're only like $20 too.
The Model Ts you can pick up and move by yourself.
Back then they were only $20.
Which equated into about $1 million.
So it's going to go right across the lake to the other side. Now, right about where we are right now, Cotton Hill, this is
I really want to believe that. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I'll be good.
just to go down under the water, so
Yeah.
I'll be my new president. Let's head to the other side. Yeah. Aaron tries to drop that anchor here with thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, if it's, I know the last tour, they said that hole they had, you could hit it on the bottom and you could feel the arch.
Is that right? That's amazing.
It wasn't so windy. Yeah, I think you could hear the thunder.
So you see the house up there with the manicured lawn. Look to the right of it where the trees start. And you see a little alcove right there. That first little alcove is Route 66 coming out of the water. Now here's the funny part. It's this guy's driveway. No way. His driveway is Route 66. Oh,
Man, if you ever resell that house, I would be like, first spot right here.
yeah. Well, both sides are on private property, and they're not feeling the love too much. But we are hoping to mark either side with a shield, but if anything, we're talking about putting the buoy out in the middle of the lake with a big Route 66 shield.
That'd be cool.
I think that's a cool thing to do.
I'm surprised that, especially with this being the centennial, like, you would think people would be like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Again, if all that tree wasn't leaves on board or on there, you could see the road, but it's literally just right there, 20 feet in front of you. You can see a smidge of it through there. Yep.
Yeah. Let's get girl. That first coat.
Now, if you guys come out here, this next one, when they came out here to survey looking at this, it appeared to me that the road was on city park property, and I was like, oh, yes, we've got this. And then I decided to double check, and I went down to the county and got maps, and turns out, nope, it's that guy's property.
He's probably some senile old guy. Like, get out my
No,
property!
he's actually a real nice guy, but I went up to talk to him just to see what his, mindset was, and he knows it. He's very aware of it. He thinks it's cool, but he doesn't want people out here.
Yeah.
He don't want people up on the road wandering into his yard. And that's fair enough.
Fixing it up. Say, take photos here.
Well, he does have a big landscape, a ginormous one, just about 30 feet up the road, so you can't drive his driveway straight down into the lake. Some fool would be like, where's this road go? Yeah. Splash. Again, watch your head going under there. So during that drought, did they find anything in the lake? Yes, they did. Over by the I-55 bridge over here, they found 2 safes in the rising up out of the mud. Yeah, 4 beer cans.
Yeah, that one made me nervous.